Hello everyone, welcome back to midZlit. This is midZlit. In this video, we are going to discuss the features of human language. So this course is a part of MA English course under University of Calicut. So let's begin with the features of language. First feature of human language is duality of patterning or duality of structure. Language always displays two levels of patterning. It is made up of sounds and smaller formal units called phonemes, morphemes and words. A structure of speech in any human language can be analyzed into smaller units, and larger number of meaning can be expressed by means of limited number of signals. For instance, a sentence such as "Our teachers like all the students" can be analyzed into words "Our teacher like all the students." So some of these words may further be broken into smaller units like phonemes. So thus in human language, two levels of structure are found. A primary level which consists of compounding of words, and a secondary level which consists of compounding of sounds. But in animal communication, on the other hand, consisting of meaningful cries which cannot be analyzed into constituent elements such as phonemes, morphemes or words. The cry of animals denotes approaching danger, mating instinct, anger, etc. The chirping of bird and the buzzing of bees are means of communication, but these serve only a limited number of purposes. The bees, for example, have only two modes of body movements called bee dance, one to signify distance and the other to denote the direction of forage. Unlike animal language, human language is articulate as it has got a structure. Human language can be analyzed into a number of smaller constituent elements like words, phonemes and morphemes. That is why human language is said to be a system of systems. The cry of animals or the body movements of the bees cannot be analyzed into smaller units. Human language is structured at different levels, at the level of phonemes and morphemes and at the level of words. Charles Calicut, who was a famous linguist, he called this property of language as the duality of structure. Don't forget the name, Charles Calicut. So this is duality of patterning or duality of structure. Next one is recursiveness. Since there are various ways of combining the units of language, there is considerable scope for creativity within it. Using a few basic rules of construction, human beings can produce and understand a large number of utterances. There is no limit to the length or number of sentences a speaker can produce. Using a finite number of rules which are repeatedly used, a speaker can produce grammatical sentences never uttered before. This property of language is called recursiveness or creativity. We can add new words and sentences to the already existing ones, or even form sentences inside the sentences. This property of language is referred to as creativity, and languages always remain open-ended. The signals in human language can be combined in a variety of ways. Human language may therefore be called an open-ended system. Animal language, on the other hand, exhibits only a very little creativity or recursiveness. It does not have any variety of combination or organization of constituent elements. So that is creativity. It's an important feature of human language. Third one, arbitrariness, very important feature of human language. So generally speaking, there is one-to-one correspondence between the vocal sounds and the concept or ideas they stand for. The relationship between a word and its referent is purely arbitrary. So in other words, there is no positive relationship between a speech sound and the object. There is no positive relationship between signifier and signified. This property of language is referred to as arbitrariness. There are a few exceptions to this feature of language. A few words are representational in nature. In the last class we discussed about onomatopic words. So these are exceptions for the feature arbitrariness. So remember that. With the exception of such words, the relationship between the signifier and signified is generally arbitrary. So that is arbitrariness. Simply, there is no logical or positive relationship between the word and the object, or the signifier and the signified. That is arbitrariness. Fourth one is displacement. So animal communication is context bound, but human communication can be context free. Human beings can talk about others' experience. They can talk of objects and events which are not present at the time and the place of speaking, because the use of human language is not directly controlled by stimulus. This property of language is called displacement. So in the case of animals, there is a direct relationship between stimulus and they can respond only to their immediate environment. But in the case of human, it's different. There is a displacement. Fifth one is transferability. It's a very important feature of human language. Human language has two basic manifestations. One is speech and the other is writing. It is possible to write down spoken language and read aloud the written material. This property of language is referred to as transferability. So we can read the things that already written, and it is possible to write down spoken language. So this property of language is referred to as transferability. These differences between human language and animal language are primarily due to the fact that the human brain has an innate capacity for learning language creatively. So next feature, reflexivity. Reflexivity is the another feature. Human beings have the ability to reflect on the way they create their communicative message or to review how they work. Only humans are able to reflect on language and its use. So we can communicate some messages over our language use. Now I am speaking about our language. So we can reflect on our own language, how to use it, how to better our language usage. So we can reflect on our language. But in the case of animals, they can't reflect on their language. For example, a cat cannot give advice on its meow. So a dog cannot give advice on its barking. So that is reflexivity. And next important one is cultural transmission. The process by which a language is passed on from one generation to next generation. The process by which a language is passed on from one generation to next generation is called cultural transmission. Human language is culturally transmits, and animal language transmits through genetics. ഇപ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾക്കൊരു കുഞ്ഞുണ്ടായെന്ന് വിചാരിക്കുക. ഞാൻ സിമ്പിളായിട്ട് ഇത് പറഞ്ഞുതരാം. നിങ്ങൾക്കൊരു കുഞ്ഞുണ്ടാവുന്നു. നിങ്ങൾ ആ കുഞ്ഞിനെ ചെറുപ്പത്തിലെ, നിങ്ങളുടെ മാതൃഭാഷ മലയാളമാണ്, നിങ്ങൾ ആ കുഞ്ഞിനെ നേരെ കൊണ്ടുപോയി ചെറുപ്പത്തിലെ കുഞ്ഞ് ജനിച്ച ഉടനെ ചൈനയിൽ കൊണ്ടുവിടുന്നു. നിങ്ങൾ തിരിച്ചിങ്ങോട്ട് പോരുന്നു. ആ കുട്ടി ചൈനക്കാരുടെ ഇടയിൽ കിടന്ന് വളർന്നു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ആ കുട്ടി ഒരിക്കലും മലയാളം സംസാരിക്കില്ല. ആ കുട്ടി ചൈനീസേ സംസാരിക്കുകയുള്ളൂ. നിങ്ങളുടെ മകൻ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മകളായിട്ട് ആ കുട്ടി ജനിച്ചു എന്നതുകൊണ്ട് ആ കുട്ടി മലയാളം സംസാരിക്കില്ല. സോ ഹ്യൂമൻ ലാംഗ്വേജസ് acquired from culture, not through genetics. But in the case of animals, it transmits through genetics. ഒരു പൂച്ച കുട്ടി, ആ പൂച്ചയുടെ കുട്ടിക്ക് ഒരിക്കലും പട്ടി കുരക്കും പോലെ കുരക്കാൻ കഴിയില്ല. അത് പട്ടിയുടെ കൂടെ വളർന്നാലും പൂച്ച മിയാവ് മിയാവുന്നേ പറയത്തുള്ളൂ. സോ ദിസ് ഫീച്ചർ ഈസ് കൾച്ചറൽ ട്രാൻസ്മിഷൻ. There are some additional features. I'm going to read that. A language is ubiquitous. Ubiquitous means spread everywhere. Language is spread everywhere, and language is a means of communication. We know that it's a medium of communication. Language is systematic. Yes, it's systematic. It has proper structure, so it's systematic. And language is conventional. Language is arbitrary. We told that there is no logical and iconic relationship between the signifier and signified, so it's arbitrary. Language is social. It's a social tool for communication. Language is cultural. It's culturally transmitted. It's culturally acquired. And language has a duality of structure. We already discussed that factor. Language have two levels, and language has two levels, which is level of meaning and level of sounds. And language is recursive, displacement, transference, and language is dynamic. Language is not a static one, it's keep changing, so language is dynamic. So these are the important features of human language. Thank you.